Hello everyone, welcome on back. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show with me, your host Nigel Seeley, and our senior and rather very angry today, Sean Calvert.
Angrier than usual.
We're not having much luck, are we, on the grass court? Welcome to the grass court season, my friend. We got all the angles. We call you the protractor. You got more angles than anybody else, but we're not getting the results over the line, are we?
I knew this was going to happen as soon as Zhang messed up from 2 match points. So whenever that happens, whenever your guy has got a couple, 2 or 3 match points, and you think, he's on serve, on grass, you think, that's in. Next thing you know, double fault, unforced error. It's gone from 1 to 25 to win the match to losing it into a state of 4 points. As soon as that happens, I can guarantee you're going to lose your next 5 or 6 bets, and that's exactly what's happened, isn't it? Not quite, it's got that many yet, but the Handsman won today, 40-15, serving at 5-6. The stream went down at 40-15, so I have no idea what happened then. I was just watching the score going 40-15, 40-30, juice, advantage, set. So that lost from 2 match points up, but I don't know how because the stream went down. My guess would be Handsman probably made about 3 or 4 unforced errors. I didn't actually see it, but so we've had 2 that have lost from 2 match points up. And that's.
My guess would be that the producer at Stuttgart would have known that it was going live stream to some house in Leon C to Mr. Calvert and thought, you know what, I can't bear to get the dog's abuse I'm going to get here. So he thought, I'm going to cut the link.
That could have happened. I don't know. I don't know what's worse. I think it's actually worse when you can't see it. I think at least if I was watching it, I could have sort of yelled at him and gone, "What the hell are you doing?" or something like that.
You would have smashed the telly. You would have smashed the computer. Someone would have got it. Lagan would have got it. The cats would have got it. Someone would have got it.
He's not it. There's nobody around. It probably would have been one of the TVs, to be honest. This is why I don't like watching matches. Yeah. I'd much rather know the result without having to watch it because, it's painful. It's watching matches is obviously what I do most of the day, but when I've got a bet on it, it's painful, isn't it? Especially when you have results like that. And then obviously Manarino was dreadful as well on the outright. So switching services has not been it's not been great for us so far, has it? It's been a terrible week, unfortunately.
But we had that when we switched to clay. It happened.
It does happen.
It happens. I mean, let's be fair. Listen, if you bet a guy at plus 130 who's had 2 match points that can't convert and was trading minus 3,330. We've gone 6-5 going with serve and we're 40-15 up on serve with a tie break. Come on, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. They're great bets. They're absolutely fantastic bets.
And it still goes down as a loss, doesn't it? Ultimately, and
yeah, but like there's a loser and a loser. If you bet someone at minus 120 and loses 6-2, 6-2, that's a bad loser. This is not bad losing. Anyone who's criticising about these bets, or anyone who goes on the comments and says,
I'm sure they will.
There was one guy who's saying, I told you, I had a bad feeling about these bets. Well, after they lost, okay, you got a bad feeling. I could go on to every single tipping channel in the world and say, I've had a bad feeling about this bet. 2 hours after the result.
Nobody likes after
Everyone
timing,
could pick a winner 2 hours after. After timing is the worst trait in this industry, bar none. You're in it to win it. You're either in it for the long duration. You're going to come on and you're betting something here that you're giving a bet a plus 130 and the guy trades 3,300 on minus 3,300. There's nothing you can do to do that. You're betting, what price will be a tie break today at 40-15? Minus 5,000?
Something like that, yeah.
You can't beat it. No. So anyway, anyone who wants to after time. But listen, it's about here and now. You have runs, you have bad results, but it's all about the year. We're still in profit on the year. We've still got half the season to go. I mean, don't worry about it.
I'm not worried. It's just annoying.
These things here. Of course, it's annoying, but there's other ones that we take for granted when they win easy. This is a nature that you have to deal with the good times. You have to deal with the bad times in exactly the equal way.
Exactly. I've always said that.
And you have to bet your bank accordingly. Anyone who comes on here and says, "Oh, I knew they were bad bets after they lost," well, listen.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad bet.
Not worried about it.
It's a bad result, but it's not a bad bet.
Well, people will call it out that it was a bad bet.
I'm sure they will.
bad bet. You 2 match points on a plus 130 shot. How can that be a bad bet? The guys obviously can't handle it. Well, we learn from it, move on. But anyway, don't worry about that. It's the grass court season. It changes. Conditions change. Weather conditions change. I know. We're going to go heavy on in the next week. Before we go on to the matches, this Stuttgart trend though, the over 10.5 is becoming insane, isn't it? Really, I mean, what's going on here? The tournament here. We know it's a fast tournament, but the stats coming out of Stuttgart here are just absolutely off the charts.
Another one this morning, wasn't it? Massetti 7-6, 6-7. I think it was first couple of sets.
Yep.
Obviously,
the TFO match went over as well. Obviously,
TFO
10.5
should have been 7-6 as well. Yeah, no surprise. I said at the start of the week, this is the quickest conditions of the year on the main tour. Not a surprise at all. At least there's these many tie-break matches, particularly early season grass as well, when it's quite lush and quite slick and low bouncing. It's not easy to return.
But the line today, there was big movement. I watched the BetRivers website this morning, and the line really moved to these over 10.5. People are actually realising what's going on here in Stuttgart. And the line is moving very, very quickly. The stats, what is it now? Over 10.5 in 10 of 15, 11 of 13 matches.
I haven't got it on the screen at the minute, but it's
something like that. It's about 70%. But where do we, if anyone's watching this podcast and thinking they're going to bet over 10.5 or over 12.5, where does it become a value play and it becomes not so value play? I mean, the stats are probably now about sort of 50, probably about even money now, really, on the whole 5-year data. But, the line is moving very, very quickly now. And I think people might look at this now and think, we're going to bet over 10.5 on the first set on every match. There must be a line where I wouldn't touch it. What is it, evens or what
over 10.5 over? I normally go over 12.5 on grass because 10.5, generally, if you get to 5-all on grass, normally the players think, okay, it's going to be a tie break. Not always the case on other surfaces, but on grass that tends to happen more often than not. I'm just looking at the numbers here. I think there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it's 8 out of the first 11 or something gone to a tie break in Stuttgart. But yeah, I think you have to look at the long term trend on that. Really, I haven't got it on my screen at the minute, but I think 44% was the number that goes over 10.5. So that's over a 5-year average, so I'd work it back on that. I think that's the best thing. I wouldn't bet it odds on. That's for sure.
Well, this tournament it's actually gone. It's like about an 80% chance in this tournament so far. So if you add that into the trend, it probably brings that 44 up to sort of a 48. Yeah. But it's going off. It's now 10.5 is in the Stuttgart events are around about even money now. And on the off, the 2 matches today, the TFO match and the Bublik game is trading around about even money, and that's moved from like 130, 125.
Yeah, there's no value now on that.
Yeah. So look tomorrow. I mean, if you can get plus money, I suppose that's probably the angle to go over to 10.5. I don't know what you're going to bet. We might have a bet here on that kind of market there, but we'll come on to that in a minute. Before we go on to Stuttgart, where this trend is continuing, these overs that just keep cashing in the first set. Let's start off in s-Hertogenbosch, where we've had a bit of an indifferent tournament. Yesterday we had a bit of rain. Today we're recording this on Wednesday afternoon. The weather forecast has been quite good today.
It's rained again.
We've got the first match.
It's been delayed again.
Is it rained? Was it rained?
It's been delayed again.
Oh, well, the last time I looked, it was all right.
Well, it stopped long enough for Manarino to produce an absolutely shocking performance. Again.
Well, that's when I gave up on the tournament. That's when it was continuing. I didn't know what
Nothing much
has
happened after that. I think they have started playing again now, but there was certainly another delay, which wasn't forecast in the weather forecast yesterday.
Well, let's have a look at the matches we have for tomorrow. These are on Wednesday. Head across to the BetRivers website. You'll see the order of play. We don't know the order of play as yet, but later on today you'll see it. By the time this video drops, you'll be able to see what time these matches start. But they will start early. That's one thing I have to say. They'll be around about 6 o'clock Eastern time, the first match. And check out the BetRivers website. And if you do have a bet, you'll be able to bet live and watch live with BetRivers. First match we're going to talk about is the tournament favourite, Alex de Minaur, up against Zizou Bergs. De Minaur played a very, very good French Open, reached the quarterfinals, got beat by Zverev, but has been in great form. He's up to a career high in the world rankings now, inside the top 10 for the first time. He's number 9. Zizou Bergs he beat Van Rijthoven in the first round here, the Dutch guy who won this tournament a few years ago. Come through qualifying. He got beaten qualifying, but he got given a spot in the draw. Bergs is a player that is probably a lot better than his ranking of 81 suggests. He's a decent player here. De Minaur obviously coming through from the French Open. Really, we spoke about him to put his motivation for this tournament in the 250 event. That's questionable, and he is a heavy favourite to win this match. Bet Rivers have Zizou Bergs at plus 525, and Dinmore is minus 770. The spread is a massive 4.5, minus 125 for Minaur, plus 4.5 for Bergs, minus 110. And the total is rather low for a grass court match. It's 20.5 with over even money, and under the favourite, minus 137. What those odds suggest here, Sean, is that Minaur is going to come here with the same kind of motivation at the French Open. He's going to put it all in, and he's going to beat Zizou Bergs 6-3, 6-3, something like that. I'm not so sure.
No, I'm not. This is a short price on Minaur. I think this could be tricky. You know, he's switching surfaces like they all are. But he made the quarterfinals, didn't he, in the French Open, which is something he's never been close to doing before. So he's always had more time to prepare for the grass swing than he has this time. But he's never done well early in the grass season so far in his career. His record in Rosmalen isn't great, or Stuttgart, incidentally. And that's in years when he's had more time to prepare. Now he obviously hasn't. Minaur in Rosmalen, 2-3 win-loss, and service points won and return points won, total of 101, but a service hold and break total of just 97. So you can see why he's only 2-3 win-loss. Not particularly great stats there. If we throw Stuttgart into the mix as well, where Minaur played one time, lost to Yuri Rodionov, beat Thompson, lost to Rodionov. So he's 3-4 win-loss in Stuttgart and Rosmalen. So historically, he seems to have taken time to adapt to the grass. Now, if we include the two matches in Stuttgart, Minaur's gone over 20.5 games in 6 out of those 7 matches. And he's been taken to 3 sets, or played 3 sets, 5 times in those 7 matches. So he's not a guy that's seamlessly transitioned from the clay to the grass. He's obviously a good grass court player, and I expect him to have a decent grass court swing, but history tells us that he hasn't quickly adapted to the changing conditions. And Bergs is a player for me that just seems to play better against the better players. He seems to not really be up for it as much at the lower level sometimes. For example, in qualifying here, lost in qualies. Match he should have won, got back in as a lucky loser. But if you look what he's done against top 20 opposition, he's played 5 matches against top 20 opponents. He's taken at least a set in 4 out of those 5 matches. And he's won the opening set 3 times out of 5. So clearly he's got the game to compete against better players. His career ranking at the minute is number 81. That's gone up quite a lot already this season. It's still rising. It's going to rise further. It's going to be top 50 soon enough, Zizou Bergs. I just think over 20.5 games is even money, is it?
Yeah, I like that.
I think that's definitely the play here, because, as I've said, pretty much every time he's been to Stuttgart or Rosmalen, he's gone over 20.5 games. The only one that I think he didn't was when he lost in straight sets very easily to the aforementioned Adrian Mannarino. But every other match gone over 20.5. Most of them have gone well over. A lot of them have gone to 3 sets. But I think that's the play for sure.
20.5 seems an extremely low.
He'll do well
to the early grass court campaign as well.
Yeah, he will do well to. It's not as quick here as Stuttgart, but still a grass court, and he'll do well to win this in fewer than 20.5 games against an opponent that, as I said, tends to raise his game against the better players.
It's also going to take Minaur a bit of time to get used to the grass. He hasn't played on the grass this year.
Exactly, yeah.
Coming straight from the clay court, has done well. So, Bergs has a couple of matches underneath his belt, in different form as well. But, I like that 20.5. That 20.5 is a decent play. I think anytime you get a bit of a grass court event, especially in the early part of the year, 20.5 is a great call. Let's move on to the next match. I feel like I'm back in 2014, 10 years ago, calling this one.
More or less.
2 veterans of the game. Yeah, Roberto Bautista Agut up against Milos Raonic, former Wimbledon finalist. If you want to follow the head-to-head here, and you're a head-to-head follower, then you'll be all over Raonic here. He leads 5-0 against Bautista Agut. But let's be fair, the first time they met was 10 years ago, and the last time they met was in Australian Open in 2017. Raonic has obviously had all kinds of problems with injuries. He came back on tour with a big win against Jordan Thompson in the first round here. Bautista Agut had a decent win as well. Raonic is just, I saw him. He won a couple of matches in Rotterdam, didn't he? And then he got to the quarterfinal against Sinner, had to pull out. Is he capable of putting 2 or 3 game matches together. That's the question I would worry about here if I was going to take the heavy odds on. He's not. He's the favourite, but would I bet him at minus 155? That's the price you got to pay for the Canadian. I wouldn't bet him at all. Roberto Bautista Agut is plus 125. Spread is 1.5. Minus 121 for Raonic, giving up the 1.5. And the total here is 23.5. Two big servers, two players who can play on the grass, but two players, veterans towards the end of their career. Over minus 105 and under minus 122 on the total, 23.5. Raonic has got that 5-0 win, but can he do back-to-back matches? That's the big question.
That's the only question here, is fitness, really. On the matchup, I would heavily favour Milos Raonic. I mean, he was brilliant yesterday against Jordan Thompson. Virtually unplayable. A repeat at that sort of level will almost certainly overwhelm what's left of Roberto Bautista Agut at the age of 36. You know, he can't do it like he used to. A guy that plays a lot of long rallies, very flat hitter. He's perfectly comfortable, well suited to grass. In fact, Bautista Agut, I just don't think he's got the legs anymore. If we look at what Raonic has done against against Thompson yesterday, he won 89% of his first serve points, 63% of his second serve points, didn't face a break point, and interestingly, created 12 break point chances on the Jordan Thompson serve. Those stats don't flatter him. It was an outstanding performance, and
that's unbelievable from Raonic, isn't he? Because he doesn't really do that on the break points. He just dominates on the serves and wins on the tie.
He was just hitting everything so clean yesterday. Thompson was very frustrated. You know, Jordan Thompson, like Manarino, has come here having basically tanked the whole clay swing, and he would have been very much up for this. I'm sure once he saw Raonic in his first round draw, he was a bit deflated, but even so, he probably would have fancied his chances. But you just don't know with Raonic. If he is fit, then he's still more than capable of winning a tournament like this. However, recent history suggests that he's not capable of playing more than 2 or 3 matches in a row without something going wrong. He played with tape on his knee yesterday. Also had the trainer out for a back problem, but he has had a day off today. We're talking on Wednesday, so he's got the day off today. He's also got surfer's eye, apparently, Milos Raonic. I didn't even know that was a thing. But apparently, are you familiar with this condition?
When I went surfing in Malibu, I suffer from surfing. I've got lager belly, but I haven't got surfer's eye.
This is an actual ailment. Apparently, it's quite a few tennis players.
If it's an actual ailment, I'm surprised you haven't had it or you haven't heard of it.
The reason I haven't had it is because you have to spend an awful lot of time outside, i.e. surfing or whatever. So quite a few tennis players have had it. It's like a growth that comes on your eye if you're outside without wearing sunglasses, because obviously surfers don't wear sunglasses for prolonged periods of time. So tennis players get it quite often. Apparently he was trying to get this operation done while in the middle of one of his many injury breaks, but for some reason he couldn't get it done. So he's still got that. So he's got surfer's eye, a back problem, tape on his knee, and that's just what I know from yesterday. The head-to-head...
Sean Calvert of the ATP Tour, is it? Milos Raonic is like...
Difference is I do it week after week, day after day. He doesn't. He goes missing for about 3 or 4 months. You don't see me going missing for that long. Not yet, anyway. So the head-to-head, as you said, heavily favours Raonic. The service points won over to end points won totals. 105 to Raonic to 95 to Bautista Agut. And Raonic won 83% of his first serve points. RBA does struggle a bit against big servers. He's not keen. I think if you trust Milos Raonic's fitness, I think the way to go here is minus 1.5 games or minus 2.5 games on Raonic. I think it's a match that, if he shows up fit and he plays a similar-ish, vaguely similar-ish level to what he did against Thompson, then I think he'll win it with a little bit to spare.
There you go. So Raonic is Sean's lean at 155. Not an official play, Sean?
No, I can't trust him. I've had an official play the way things have gone this week. He'll retire after about 4 games. The official play will be the overs in Minaur Bergs. I think that's a sensible bet.
Yeah, that is a very sensible. The downside to that 20.5 is very minimal. Let's move across now to Stuttgart, where we're talking about these matches that are just going overs and overs and overs on the first sets. And the first match we are going to discuss is Artur Rinderknech against Lennard Struff. Rinderknech didn't do us any favours to beat Mickelson. Mickelson was terrible in the first round here. Struff come through against Caboli. No surprise there. Caboli, obviously a clay court specialist. And Struff is playing some of his best tennis of his career. Well, he is playing the best tennis of his career. And he's a player that is capable on grass. He's capable on clay. He's a player that is really overachieving at the moment. But he's a heavy favourite here. He's minus 530. Rinderknech is plus 370. The spread is 2.5. Minus 188. Very heavy for Lennard Struff on the spread. The total is ridiculously high. 24.5. That's very, very high. But this tournament here, the overs have been cashed in and Bet Rivers are taking no chances on that over line. They've met once before. It was a long time ago in a Challenger. Not on the ATP Tour. It was in 2023. And Rinderknech won 6-4, 6-4 on an outdoor hard court. 24.5. I mean, I know this is going to a lot of overs, but are we going to get at a stage where it's going to go too high and the value is to be unders, or we got to keep going this trend to keep going on these overs and these first set overs?
I think with this one, if both players serve like they did in the first round, then it's highly likely this is going to go overs. I haven't seen the price on over games in set one, actually. I'm not sure that was priced up. I'll come on to that in a minute, but I mean, if Rinderknech serves like he did against Mickelson, then tie breaks look highly likely. The only reason Rinderknech won that match was the fact that he served like an absolute god, because his second serve, Rinderknech, he only won 4 points all match on his second serve. He won 23% of the second serve points for Rinderknech. Mickelson won 60%. So that match was all about Rinderknech serving probably the best serving he's actually done in quite some time. You know, every time Mickelson got to 30 all or deuce or break point, you could guarantee that Rinderknech was just swatting it away with an ace. He had 18 aces at a rate of 1.64 per service game, Rinderknech, in that match against Mickelson. So serves like that again. Close sets obviously look likely because Lennard Struff won 92% of his first serve points against Caboli, and he won a massive 86% of his overall service points against the Italian. So we've got two guys here that are serving absolutely off the charts. Struff has held serve 90% of the time in his whole career in Stuttgart, but he was outserved by Rinderknech when they played in that PAL Challenger last year. I think Rinderknech out-aced him by about 12-7, something like that. So Struff's short here, minus 530. I mean, I expect he's going to win this match purely and simply because away from the first serve, i.e. second serve points, neutral points, I would expect Struff to win the majority of those, or certainly enough of those to win this match. So maybe the handicap is slightly tempting, but I would certainly... This looks another one for the overs. I've not seen the price, but if it's kind of 6-4 or bigger over 12.5 games in set one, I think that's definitely where I'd go here.
While we're on... TFO against Hanford is now 5-5 in set number 2.
Yeah, of course it is.
So that is 5 sets in play today in Stuttgart. 4 have gone over the 10.5, and you're getting the lines of around about plus 125 on those. And that trend is, I mean, that's the bet for me today. I've bet all these over 10.5s, and I think, you know, if you can get plus 125, plus 130 over 10.5 on set number 1, set number 2, I think you've got to take it. Anything minus money, probably not, because it go. But this trend is continuing as we speak over in Stuttgart.
TFO saved a ton of break points. I'm just having a look how many he saved so far. Or more accurately, Hanford hasn't converted. 11 out of 11 TFO saved on break points so far, wow. And the match isn't even, second set's not even finished yet. Hanford disappointing on the big points today for sure.
Yep, Hanford is not the man that we be trusting. He won't be on Mr. Calvert's Christmas card list in 6 months from now.
That's for sure. Definitely not.
No. Okay, let's move on to the final match we're going to speak about, and this one really interests me because these are two players that have been right at the top end of the game. They've had problems with injuries and form over the last couple of years, but this is an intriguing battle. It's Matteo Berrettini. You've got to remember, Matteo Berrettini was starting favourite for Wimbledon when Djokovic wasn't there, and a man that was very, very content. Got to the Wimbledon final, a man who everybody expected to go on and make great things. He's won Queen's Club a couple of times, but he's had this problems with his injuries, steadily coming back to some form. He won in Marrakesh. He got beaten the first round in Monte Carlo, but he was good in yesterday against Safelin in the first round here at Stuttgart. But again, pretty similar to Raonic. Is he good enough to last? He's peaking up towards Wimbledon. Talking about Wimbledon, if he gets a good run here, he's a big price for Wimbledon, and with Djokovic out and question marks for everyone, he could be someone who could emerge as a decent bet. He's a heavy favourite here, though, against Shapovalov, well, heavy-ish, minus 137 on the money line, plus 110 for the Canadian. Spread is 1.5, minus 127 for Shapovalov, getting 1.5. Evens for Berrettini, giving up 1.5. And look at this for a totals line, 25.5. You very rarely see this. Over is minus 108, under is minus 117. Again, if you're a better of the head-to-heads, it's 2-0 in favour of Shapovalov. But have a look at these matches. 7-6, 6-7, 7-6 in the Davis Cup for Shapovalov. 7-6 in St. Petersburg. So 6 sets between the two of them. 4 of them have gone to a tiebreak at a tournament where tiebreaks and overs have been cashing like you wouldn't believe. Over 25.5 though is the line.
Yeah, I'm not sure I back over 25.5. I'm not sure Berrettini is well, it depends how much energy he's got left. He looked exhausted at the end of that match against Safelin. He was rather fortunate to win it, Berrettini, yesterday against Safelin. Very similar to Rinderknech, actually, in the sense that the serve came to the rescue for Berrettini against Safelin, because he won 8 fewer points in the match, did Berrettini, and he only won 24% of return points. Safelin actually led the service points won and return points won totals of that match by 108 to 92, and he lost, which was certainly a smash and grab sort of raid by Berrettini. Just looking at his record, Berrettini, against left-handers, Shapovalov obviously being a left-hander, he's got a surprisingly good record, 16-5 win-loss. Berrettini, you would expect with a player that's got quite a weakish backhand compared to his monster forehand, you would expect lefties to have done more damage. But if you break that down a little bit further, against top 50 ranked left-handers, he's only 6-5 win-loss. So a lot of those 16 wins have come against lower ranked left-handers that perhaps haven't got the power to get the rallies in the way that they want, i.e. exposing Berrettini's backhand. Against the top lefties, he's struggled. Against Shapovalov in 2 matches. They were a long time ago, these matches, so perhaps not overly relevant, but Shapovalov leads the service points won and return points won totals by 107 to 93 over the 2 matches that they've played. But say one of them was, I think, 2018, wasn't it? So very long time ago. However, Berrettini wins only 27% of return points against Shapovalov. This is a match where you feel like a peak form or a approaching peak form Shapovalov has got a decent chance of exposing that Berrettini backhand. But the stats of Berrettini in Stuttgart, 94% holds of serve through his career at this tournament. Shapovalov holds 86% of the time at this tournament, but he's been much less successful. Both players only win 32% of return points on average in Stuttgart, but they win 80% and 77% of first serve points. Yeah, I think you know where I'm going with this. When I looked earlier,
I think so. Unless there's a massive twist in it.
There isn't. When I looked earlier, I don't know if that price is still there, but it was plus 175 about over 12.5 games in set 1 with Bet Rivers. If that's still the case, that would, I think, it's rather obvious, but I think that's where you would have to be heading in this match.
I think it's still there now, but the way these results are going, there may be a change by the time this video goes live. You've got to remember that we're recording this now at 3 o'clock UK time, which is 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So by the time it goes live, we may see a big swing towards this, because so many of these matches today, and we've got 2 more matches that could quite easily hit a tie-break and quite easily go over as well. So my question again, Sean, is currently we've got that line, but where would it be if anybody watched this show now and the price wasn't there? Where would it be with your cut-off point? You say, I'm not going to bet it
over 12.5 in this match.
Yeah,
shorter than 6-4. No, I don't think so.
Okay, so any lower than plus 150 would not be a bet for Sean. So currently plus 175. just watch that line. 150 would be the bet. Anything lower than that. But I think this is the trend that we've got to keep continuing with, is over 12.5, tie breaks over 10.5, while we can get the value. But obviously, if the market changes, then we've got to adjust the market, and we've got to change our way of opinion, because the price is the most important thing. People say to me, "Oh, well, a winner's a winner, a winner's a winner," but it isn't.
No,
it's all about the price of what you're betting the winner on. Well, yeah, but if we give this tip and we took it at minus 130, it's not the right thing to do. But at these kind of prices, it is the right thing to do. Okay, Sean, give us just the one official pick then for tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just watching Hanfman there, because he was serving at 40, 15, 5, 6, and he's fallen back to juice again.
He's done it again. He's done it.
Has
again. He? Well, no, it's juice again. I've wondered if he's done it again. He's capitulating on the big points again.
Yeah, it's break point again, so it looks like he's going to do exactly the same thing as he did in the first set. Good grief. Where was I? Right, yes, Rosmarlin is the official play today, which is over 20.5 games in Minaur against Bergs at even money.
Yep, that is the official play, and we do like the over 12.5 to tie break in the Berrettini Shapovalov if it's plus 175. The cut-off point is plus 150. Anything lower than plus 150, we would not suggest the wager, but at 150 we would play. Plus 175 we would probably play as well, but we're going to keep that. Even though we're not having the greatest of days, the greatest clay court season, we're still 5.76 units up on the year, which is good. We've probably 100 bets. 1 unit a bet, probably about 5.76 return for your investment, better than what you get in the high street. On the bank, and WTA, Rory is roaring away with his selections on the WTA. He's plus 12.25 units, and I'll be back with Rory on Sunday looking at more grass action. He's got players still on the outright markets as well, heading into the latter stages of the week. So Rory's on a bit of form as well. So if you covered it here on Betting Weekly Studios, on the tennis, you'll be about 20 units up combined on the two shows. It's a massive week here for not only the tennis but the soccer as well. It's the Euro 2024 Championship. It's a brilliant week. The content that we've got coming your way is sensational. The Euro 2024 show has had an unbelievable amount of views. Going to be one of our highest watched shows. So thank you very much for everyone who's watched the show. Huge amount of subscribers. Last week we had loads of subscribers with the French Open. The subscribers are coming in force for the Euros. We've got Wimbledon coming up as well, so you've got you covered. You will not find any better betting coverage on tennis or soccer anywhere else than you will find here. So thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube. Give us a little like on the ring the bell, and every time any other content drops, you'll be notified. Give us a comment. We're hitting the algorithms because all the comments you guys are giving us. Over 100 comments in the Euro 2024. We'll always answer the comments. Any questions you have here, any bets, rather than these silly comments, what a stupid bet after this happened, and he's like, missed 2 points. Want genuine comments on it.
Hanfman's just held silly 6-6, of course.
So there you go. That's always the way. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Download the podcast Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, and give us a follow on our socials at Because We Win. There is going to be loads of exclusive content on the Instagram page and on the Twitter page. We have game match previews coming up on the Euros. We have team previews by all the handicappers from their country. So the Italian expert Daniela Fischer-Kelly was giving you a rundown on Italy. Our Spanish reporter Rory Barlow has looked at Spain. Simon Holder, who is not our Belgium supporter, but he's given us a rundown on Belgium. I don't know. I think he likes Belgium lager. That's the only reason.
That's the only link I can think of.
I think he likes Stella and the white beer. And I've given you a rundown on England. All available on the Instagram account, and obviously Simon as well will be giving his picks at the US Open Golf. So this weekend we've got the tennis, we've got the US Open Golf, and we have the Euro 2024 Championship. Next week we've got the Copa America, and then the week after that Wimbledon. Everything is hotting up here. It's going to be a summer of fun, and we will cash the tickets. Don't worry about that. We are going to cash the tickets. Sean, thanks very much for your time. Take care. That's it for this week. We will be back on Sunday looking at the outright markets where the grass court comes to England for Queen's Club. Hopefully the weather's
turned apparently.
For the better.
So it looks all right now.
Is it going to be good then?
Right now.
Is it going to be good?
I wouldn't say good, but it looks all right. It looks better than it was yesterday when I looked. The weather looks all right now.
Well, let's hope so. Hope for a bit of good weather next week when the tennis calendar moves across to London for Queen's Club. We'll have you covered. No problem at all. Take care. Have a good day.